David Hillier and Jeff Stiles both intend to run for a position on council when elections are held in 2012, and they're here tonight to highlight the main issues as they see them in the Hastings area. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
The last bunch of councillors were sacked, as we all know. We're left with this terrible reputation in the Hastings in Port Macquarie that our council's seen as inept, possibly a laughing stock by some people. If either one of you were managed to get yourself elected onto council, how do you begin by repairing that damage? How do you actually restore people's faith in council?
Well, I think the next council is going to have a very interesting juggling act to perform in terms of continuing this back to basics approach that has been occurring, which is the logical progression from the last administration, but also it's going to have to come with a bit of a vision for our area, I feel. The vision's going to have to entail some passionate thoughts and views on some key local issues, and I guess laying out a bit of a plan as to how appropriately our community is going to progress in the coming years in a way that gets us to our goals, but does so in a way that builds up some trust and some integrity in council again, and charts a course that's achievable realistically.
Yeah, you're really mapping out planning there, Jeff, and I think that's what people want to know. People want to see. I think people want to see a plan, as you say, a vision, but it's going to be really hard because all the reports are that we don't have any money. And when I've lived in Port Macquarie for 10 years, I have to admit, since we've come under administration, things seem to be running smoothly, but at the same time, there is no innovation in Port Macquarie. Absolutely none. There's nothing new happening. We're just same old, same old.
I've lived here for 40 years, and I've seen a lot of changes in that time. And in the last 10 years, as you mentioned earlier, it seems to be going stagnant. It just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Doesn't seem to be a vision. Look at the Glasshouse.
Yeah.
That went from bad to worse to absolutely shocking.
You can say what you want about the Glasshouse, and we have to touch on it tonight, and I personally think it's in the wrong place, but at least that was something exciting and new for the town. And I know that you're upset by the fact that we had a lot of closures, things like fantasy glades and entertainment type of things, and nothing to replace them.
Well, there's nothing here for the kids at all. There's nothing to bring them here. Originally, we had fantasy glades, we had Peppermint Park, and in Peppermint Park, every kid remembers going to Peppermint Park.
Yeah.
And it's not a one-off thing. Like, I used to hang out there as a kid.
Yeah.
And we kept us off the streets. Now there's nothing, and people complain about kids on the street. Well, what's there for them to do? Nothing.
So outline some of your visions then. We talk about vision, Jeff and David. What are some of the things you'd like to see happen in the Port Macquarie Hastings region?
The major ones, the first one which we had talked about recently was further educational options for people in our area.
Yeah, you've got grand plans for a university, yep.
Yes, I'm very, very interested in the possibilities that we have, just simply because of the expertise we have at our disposal here. And I work at MacKillop College, and I've worked at Warhope Primary School as well, and just working with youth of various ages. I see the tremendous potential going through the ranks there, and another big issue which is being looked at increasingly, and I have heard in the media more mention of it recently, is falls under the transport links sphere, I guess, and that's our airport. And I think that will be a very, very significant player in the coming years in terms of our region's growth and potential to grow.
Let's talk about the airport, because there are big plans. They're already underway for the expansion of the airport. There's quite a few people in Port Macquarie unhappy about where the airport is after it's expanded. It's going to be huge. I mean, this is going to be one hell of an airport. A lot of people think we should have taken this opportunity to move it somewhere more appropriate. Where do you both stand on the issue of the airport?
I play quite often. I play tennis of a Thursday night at Tees Tennis Centre, bordering Hibbert and Clifton there, and the noise...
They're affected, aren't they?
Yeah, well, we're playing there of a Thursday evening, and it's quite remarkable recently with different aircraft that we've got locally now. Even out to that point, the noise from aircraft that you hear is quite surprising, and so I can absolutely understand how nearby residential areas are going to have an issue perhaps with that.
David, my concern is the fact that by the time we expand Port Macquarie out in that area that's behind the racecourse there, the airport's essentially almost going to be the centre of town. Not many towns have an airport in the centre of their town.
You look at Coffs Harbour. Now, Coffs Harbour's a perfect example. The airport is actually not in the centre. It's actually down towards between Coffs Harbour and Sawtell.
Yep.
It's right on the coast because it's not an area to be built on. For us here, we can't do that because there's places like Bonny Hills and Cat Eye. So the next best thing is take it west of the highway, around Sandcrocs Way, somewhere along there, because there's plenty of land up there that's higher up.
And I've also heard the idea, an intriguing idea of having a mid-north coast airport too, somewhere in between Port Macquarie and Kempsey, so that people can be landing between the two towns and ferried off by bus either way.
It's definitely an idea that needs to be given consideration. I haven't really got a definitive opinion on it yet, the mid-north coast airport idea, but given what's likely to be a range of constraints we've got here in the Port Macquarie Hastings, I think it's something that may be looked at again, the mid-north coast idea.
Well, like any good councillor, you'd want to read up on about it and do your research and make sure everything's been covered before you actually made a decision. David, I need to talk to you about your stance on Miners Beach, because Miners Beach is an unofficial nudist beach here in Port Macquarie. It's quite a controversial beach.
Very controversial.
And you've spoken here quite proudly about the fact that you are a nudist. If you gain a position of influence, where would you stand on Miners Beach? What would you do about it?
Well, the land around Miners Beach is national parks. National park zone. There's always been a bit of controversy who actually controls that beach, whether it's council, whether it's national parks. I mentioned that earlier to you and a few other people. We've talked about it. But one thing I want to make clear before we get on into that is I don't want to be known as the naked councillor.
I know you don't want to be known as the naked councillor. That idea in itself intrigues me because you speak openly about it. I love the fact that you're proud about being a nudist.
Very.
So you're going to find it hard to escape that label, aren't you?
No, it's actually, it's already been done.
Yeah.
A guy did it down south coast or something. He actually turned up naked at the polling booths.
Oh yeah, no, we had him on the show. That was Stuart Banstraw.
But it's always Miners is always going to be controversial. It's always going to be something. If you make it an official nudist beach, people are going to complain. If you make it a non-nudist beach, like the rest of the beaches are, people are going to complain. And it's going to be something that's going to have to look at
if you were on council, let's get this really clear. If you were on council, clarify for me just how vocal would you be as a representative of the people, someone who's paid to speak up on behalf of the community. How vocal would you be in support of Miners Beach?
Well, as you just said, I'm a representative of the people. I'm there for the people.
Yep.
That's something as a council, we'd have to sit down and discuss whether we keep Miners as it is and clean it up, or...
What do you mean clean it up?
Well,
there's some poor activity going on down there?
Well, I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Right, I haven't been down there.
That's the perception,
I haven't been... It is the perception. It comes from a lot of people. It's always had a stigma.
Sure has.
Now, a lot of people have complained about it and whatnot. So if council says, OK, let's close it, let's make it a normal beach, a closed beach, people are going to get upset. But it's something that's going to be, a lot of consideration, because I'm not getting on council just to barrack or fight for Miners Beach. I'm getting on council for
a range of issues. Absolutely. Just quickly, we'll touch on a few more issues. Fluoridation. Council voted for fluoridation, and it's a source of great controversy here in Port Macquarie. This is an anti-fluoride show. I'll go on the record as saying that. Where do you both stand on the issue of fluoridation? What would you do about it, Jeff, if you were a councillor?
It's an issue of such importance and that can have such an impact in a number of ways. The people have got to be given a chance, I feel, to make a decision on it.
If I had a round of applause track here, I'd be giving it to you right now, because this isn't about for and against. This is about the community getting the right to vote on it.
Well, that's right.
It's too big a thing.
Yep.
Right? No person, group, whatever, even government can decide what's best for this community. the community decides what's best for this community.
Exactly.
When it comes to things like fluoride, it has to go to a referendum.
That's
People
right.
have to vote, yes, we want it, no, we don't, and it stands at that.
And that should happen at the point where people are electing you guys. At the 2012 ballot, there should also be a question on there about fluoride. This happened back in 94 or 92, I believe. 75% of people, or around about that figure, voted against fluoride in this area.
Yeah.
Why we don't get the chance to do it again, I don't understand.
Well, people should have the choice.
So, Jeff, it's not so much about fluoride as such, it's more about community choice on a major matter.
Yeah, it's very, very much about that. To be honest, growing up, I mean, I grew up on Tenkwater. I grew up out between Telegraph Point and Warhope, out at Pembroke, and I was on Tenkwater. It's quite telling what I found out and what I did read about, and a lot of the content a lot of people probably wouldn't be aware of. So I did develop my own thoughts on the issue of fluoridation. But first and foremost, as I said, you can't escape the fact that it's just such a huge, crucial issue that it has to be put out there to the people as a local government and say, okay, Port Macquarie Hastings, what are your thoughts?
And because you're both people who may achieve a position of power, I'd like to just see this little thought in both of your heads, that the pro-fluoridation lobby, which operates through New South Wales Health, they are funded to get the message about why fluoride is good for us out into the community. I would be arguing very strongly that funding should also be given to the anti-fluoride lobby so that their message can get out. We have not had a balanced discussion about this. We've only heard the good things about fluoride for about 40 years in this country. It's about time all the facts were tabled so people could make informed choice. Last shot for you both here as potential councillors. Your main issues. How do we promote growth in the Port Macquarie Hastings region? How do you want to see it done?
Well, we've got to promote our area very thoughtfully and very effectively, and play to our strengths, play to our current strengths, and emphasise those, and also emphasise our potential strengths into the future, what we are achieving and what we have achieved, and what we have a very realistic chance and ability of achieving into the future.
I can hear you're excited about our area, and I'm glad to hear that. We are the best part of the country, in my opinion. What about you, David?
We're paradise. This is paradise.
It is. Yep.
It is. No, I support Jeff 100%.
Yep.
We've had a few get-togethers now, and we share the same passion.
Yep.
For me, it's I was once told 30-odd years ago that society owes me. Society owes me nothing. I owe society. And it took me 25 years for that to sink in, and now I've got the bit between my teeth and I'm not letting it go.
Good for you. That's good.
I just want. This is, like I said, this is my town. I lived here for 40 years. I want my kids to enjoy it.
We've really got to wrap it up, but I do want to put one question to you both. The last council was often accused of teaming up, I suppose. There were teams and factions within the council. Council's not meant to be about that. It's about independent people going in there and really speaking up for what they believe from their heart, from their soul, after listening to their community. Would both of you, if you got onto council, how mindful will you be of not getting swept up in the politics of local government and just maintaining that integrity which you've both displayed so well tonight?
I'm not interested in politics. I hate politics. Look at the country. I'm going in there as a representative of the people. The people come to me, they say, listen, this is what we need, whether it's small business or whatever.
But, David, that is politics, essentially.
Not really.
That's true politics.
That's true politics. It's something this country's never seen.
Not the rubbish politics.
Not the rubbish. I'm not talking about the rubbish. We don't need the rubbish. We don't need the ganging up. Look at the last council. They all agreed on the Glasshouse, and then after a while, they all pulled the pin, or half of them pulled the pin on it.
So you would maintain your independence?
Definitely.
And Jeff, how would you... I can't ever, to be honest with you, I know it's a very biased, I can't imagine you compromising your integrity or independence, but how would you go about ensuring that wouldn't happen?
Well, I echo many of those sentiments from Dave, but I think what's important will be, with our new council, will be for every issue to be taken on its merits, look at it and look at it objectively, which is common sense, but that's what needs to happen. But we have to respect, and I think get a good canvassing happening with the areas and the communities within the wider community, and basically work together for the betterment of the whole Port Macquarie Hastings, and try and have a feeling of being inclusive come about with the in excess of 70,000 people that we've got here.
I love it. I love it. And what comes across from both of you is that you're not in there for egotistical reasons. You're genuinely in there for what, in my opinion, a good councillor should be, which is it's not about your opinion so much. It's about funneling through the opinions that you're hearing from the community.
That's right.
It's not about your opinion.
No.
So we've done well tonight. Thank you both for coming in and exploring a few of the crucial issues facing the local area. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.